welcome to Tokyo Creative Talk. I'm your host, Shizuka, and today we're having an interview with a very special guest, Norm from Tokyo Lens. Welcome.
How's it going?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing good. It's warm out there.
It's warm. I mean, we had this conversation coming in. It's a little warmer than warm, I think.
Yeah. I think it's like 34 now, feels like 43.
Probably, yes. It's a little hot for Canadians, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
And so speaking of which, you're from Canada, I'm also from Canada. Yeah. This is a cool little coincidence.
It is.
Don't you find it's kind of hard to meet other Canadians in Tokyo?
That's Americans, no problem. British, they are plentiful. Yeah. But Canadians, there's always something special. You're like, oh, you're from Canada?
Right?
Yeah.
There's always like this little connection. You're just like, oh my God, Canadians.
Get excited about it.
Yeah, it's always so exciting. So I was very excited to meet you. And I have been watching some of your videos. You have a great, like, kind of artistic little, style going on.
I try.
Yeah, good.
I enjoy it. I enjoy the process.
That's good. So you kind of go into your videos with sort of a filmmaking mindset, I assume. Even your vlogs are very interesting to watch, actually, with the editing. Like, you clearly take a lot of time to, edit and make it a great, video.
Yeah, I do. I usually have a rough idea. It never goes to plan.
Oh, really?
So I just shoot as much as I can and then rescue it in the edit.
That's good. Okay. And do you have kind of would you be able to take us through some of your filmmaking process? Like, how do you decide on an idea and then how do you execute and then put it together?
Yeah. Usually whenever I can, I want to have a story.
Okay.
I want to have a story. I want to have some kind of conflict in there. I want to have some kind of there's got to be some form of adventure. Mm-hmm. I haven't done anything big on it yet, but adventure is really big to me. And so I want to be able to, I think a lot of people, there's different types of people who watch YouTube. And the ones that I want to show much appreciation as I can to are the ones who are trying to live vicariously.
Right.
Because not everybody can get out here.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may not be physically able. So I want to make the experience as real as possible and give that adventure and that story in there. So inside of that, I just try and shoot whatever applies to the story. And get a mix of the wide establishing shots, close-up shots that show the detail, the beauty of the area or whatever it is. Something that basically appeals to the story that I'm trying to tell.
Nice.
The hardest part of all of it is actually what do I say and what do I put in there verbally, right? So I usually shoot 2 to 3 storylines in any given day because you never know how a day is going to go out.
Right.
And then I edit it together to become the story that it is.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's great. So you really think through this whole process, because especially with a vlog, you never know what's going to happen.
You have no idea.
Right. So you kind of keep going with the flow, and then you change things as you go.
Yeah.
But you always put it together and wrap it up nicely.
I try. And if I can, there's usually some form of message that's hit you within a day. I don't know if everybody reflects this much, but I like to take something out of my day. Like, what have I picked up from this, or what's on my mind lately, and inject that into the vlog so it's got an extra layer of value whenever possible. So,
nice. Yeah. That's really interesting. I think a lot of YouTubers have a very different approach to making their videos. Some people's vlogs are very just let's just go and see what happens, just film everything. But I like how you have a really clear process and you always kind of plan that and then wrap it up nicely. So
otherwise I just
it just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the tricky thing with vlogs. I feel like if you're not careful, they can just go long and get kind of boring. So you gotta.
That's
be
why
careful
one of
with
my
that.
favorite comments is you rarely see it, but this felt a little scripted for me. And my thing is always trust me, you don't want the non-scripted version because I just be talking to the camera for an hour. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you actually really think about what you're going to say beforehand? Do you write things
There are some videos where I sit down and I'm I want to get the words right. And I don't want to ramble because it'll be a 30-minute video.
Right.
So I plan out talking points. And then I decide 10 seconds within here, 15 seconds within here. But for the most part, in a vlog, I'll have something in my mind and I'll be I want to talk about this. I want to share this point. Right. And then just kind of cut out the excess, the hms and the haws.
Right. I'm guilty of that too. I do a lot of the they just get in there.
Yeah.
So it's important though. It's good to like collect yourself and get what you want to say in your mind and then say it eloquently. That's all we want.
And I always like try to reshoot with like 2 or 3 different like approaches or energy or something like that.
Nice.
Just because, as I said, you don't know, the next scene could be like a terrible scene,
right.
or the next scene could be amazing. So I want the energy of the previous scene to actually match that.
Right.
So
that's great. Really nice like passion and energy from that, I think.
It helps when you love what you do, right?
Yes, so you can feel it for sure. And so speaking of this, how did you really get into this whole maybe filmography or photography? Were you always quite into this, or was it something that started recently?
Kind of, actually. My family just sent me a photo not 2 days ago of like little 7-year-old me holding a video camera.
That is so cute.
But I didn't really get into it until, I'd say when I came, it happened in layers. I used to make videos for like me and my friends who did like martial arts stuff. I think you had spoken to Dogan, who got into video editing in a very similar way.
Right.
And it just kind of taught you at the time how to make a video and how to line it up to music.
Cool.
And then when I moved out to Japan, after a couple of years, I'd gotten into like the music and shamisen side of things. And I'd offered to make a video or 2 for some friends, and then that became an entire channel.
Oh, nice.
And then I had people be like, you need to start making videos for yourself. You need to start like putting content out there. And I was told that for years and just ignored it until about last year, this time last year exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
July, August of last year is when I started vlogging. So.
Yes, and you did kind of a whole year of vlogging. Like this was kind of like a little commitment to yourself.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah. And then what was this? Why did you decide to do that? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, been in Japan for a while now, and I somewhere about a year before I started vlogging, I started to catch myself falling into a really negative place. And I was verbal on it, and I was just I just wasn't a nice person to be around. I wasn't happy in my job. I wasn't nice to the people that I worked with. Now, like, it's kind of changed around. I get this idea that, like, if you want someone to like you, you got to invest first. You got to like them first.
Right.
But I wasn't always like that. I had, how can I say? I was overly entitled, and I had just become that negative person in Japan. And I thought, I have 2 choices. I can change it, or I can leave. And that's something I believe very strongly. And I think that if you're gonna just stay negative, then don't be here.
Right.
Go do something that you won't be negative about. And I wanted to be here because there's so much beauty in everything around me. And I got to the point where it just felt wasteful to be that version of myself.
Wow.
So I was like, if I want to, there's 2 things that I want to do. I want to start creating content, and I want to change to be a better person.
Right.
I don't think anybody really wants to watch a negative like YouTube channel, and it wouldn't be a fun one to make anyway. So I decided I was going to make a channel based on positivity and making my life better. Just thinking positively isn't enough. You got to act on it. And so I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the beauty I see around me. I'm gonna filter it into positivity, and I'm gonna make videos about that. That way my entire life centers around positivity and the beauty that surrounds me, and I can grow that appreciation for where I am back. Because again, there are so many people who can't be here. It's not just wasteful, but rude to take that negative like approach that I lived for so long.
Right.
And after a year of it, I already feel so much better. But like there's still so much more to go, and so I think the future is more exciting than where I am right now.
Oh, that's cool. That's great though. So it's a really good process of just kind of I guess redefining yourself and enjoying even deeper, like, you know, your life in Japan.
Yeah.
Living life to the fullest, basically.
Exactly.
That's great. So before you started the channel, did you travel as much as you do now? Were you trying to travel here and there before?
I had actually, before starting the channel, I hadn't even gone back to Canada in 3 years.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
And I think that's a large part of it because I wasn't living life. You get in a cycle, and I think a negative cycle will continue to stay negative, and it'll become a spiral.
Very true.
And so it was work, home, work, home, work, home, work, home, and nothing else.
Right. And I think, to be honest, it's easy to get into that cycle when you live in Tokyo. Like, a lot of it is, the work culture is just so intense, you know? So everything revolves around work, and then you work late, you come home late, and then you don't have much time for yourself.
Exactly.
You don't have time to, grow as a human, you're just working, basically.
Exactly. And that becomes a crutch to use as an excuse. And that was the other thing. I felt I was just making so many excuses for why I was the way I was. So I was like, you know what? I get home at 10 p.m. From 10 until 2, that's when I edit.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
So the first maybe 150 videos that went up on my channel were done while I was still working a full-time job.
No
like 5 days a week. Yeah.
Ah, that's a lot of dedication. But it obviously took you far, You're doing well with it.
At the end of the year, it just more than like the channel itself, that's great. Who knows what that'll be in the future, but like the legacy that you get to leave behind, right? Like if here's something that I love thinking about. If your parents or grandparents had made videos, like vlogs, would you want to watch your grandparents' vlogs?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I've got a huge family. I've got like tons of sisters and 2 brothers, and like we live so far apart, and they're so important to me. So that's also my way of sharing my life with them.
Of course.
Right. So
I'm sure they enjoy watching what you get up to all the time in Tokyo.
Yeah. So my little brother is actually in Tokyo right now as we're filming this.
Really? I was going to ask if they, some of your family comes to visit. Do they come here quite a lot, or?
Well, considering the number of them, there's even if just one of them comes a year for the last 8+ years, then that adds up.
You still are seeing some members of your family over Oh, that's great. So do you have any fun plans with your brother? Like, are you planning to do some trips, or? Oh yeah.
He's here for an entire month.
Nice.
So we just went up to Tochigi Prefecture, and we found this, I found years ago, this gorgeous mountain valley.
Ooh.
It's just got a river nestled between 2 mountains, and we spent a day hanging out there. We might do some camping in Japan. Have you ever done camping in Japan?
Not really. Not with like a proper tent. I've done like some weird makeshift camping out of a van before.
Okay.
We put like a tarp over it. I don't know why we did that, but real camping would be, a blast.
Especially as a Canadian, right?
Yes.
Like, I haven't gone camping in so we really want to do that.
That's a great idea. So you're planning to do it in Tochigi, maybe?
No, we're hoping. My brother's goal is to do camping near Mount Fuji.
Oh!
He wants to camp somewhere where you can just look out and see the mountains.
It's so good. That's actually where I went when I had my weird, semi-camping trip. But it's great. When you wake up in the morning, it's just so clear, and you can see this beautiful view of Mount Fuji. So it's a little chilly, but it's really worth it. In the summer, it's so nice.
So
set up a little campfire.
Bring out all the cameras.
Exactly. Bring your marshmallows.
Exactly.
That's good. Did you do a lot of this kind of outdoor stuff when you were living in Canada too?
Yeah. Like camping, we do camping on average 2 to 3 times every single summer.
Really?
Like my father's house is almost out in a forest basically. Like you look out the back window and there's just a forest. So me and my brothers would always be running around in there, and I love the outdoors. So as much as I love Tokyo, I feel there's that, how can I put it? There's a certain level of appreciation that comes from the juxtaposition and gap between things.
Yeah.
And so having the being in Tokyo makes you appreciate the countryside more, and vice versa.
Definitely.
So,
yeah,
very obvious statement.
No, but it's so true. It's so true. I also live on the outskirts of Tokyo, so I get a lot of the nature still. And I really, I feel like this keeps me kind of grounded. And it reminds me of home in Canada, so this is always nice to escape to after a long day in the city. It's nice to leave sometimes.
Now, you said it reminds you of home in Canada.
Yeah.
Does that mean, as you mentioned before, that there are cows walking through the gate?
Well, so that was my original home. So as I was mentioning earlier to Norm, I was born in the middle of nowhere on a farm basically. So I moved when I was a little bit older, starting elementary school, 7 or 8, to Edmonton, which
Okay.
is still a city. So it's been a long time without cows in my life.
Okay. As an Edmonton person, I know I'm turning the interview around. So I'm just so curious.
Okay.
Were you one of those West Edmonton mall kids?
Oh my god. I wasn't super close to West Edmonton Mall.
Okay.
So I wasn't going there as often as some of the other West Edmonton Mall kids, but I was there sometimes. I was more of a Southgate kid. 'Cause,
Okay.
I was on the south side.
There you go.
Have you been to Edmonton?
Yeah. My family, actually, me, my little brothers and sisters, we did a road trip across Canada
Wow,
when
really?
we were really young. And one of the experiences within that, obviously, was the West Edmonton Mall.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
We took the submarine.
You did! Oh, that's so awesome. West Edmonton Mall, if you don't know, it's used to be the world's largest mall.
Is it not still?
Not anymore. I heard it was eventually surpassed in, I'm going to say China.
They could probably.
Yeah, it's
They've got
quite
the space.
possible. They do have the space. They have enough people to make that work. So, yeah, but it used to be the world's largest. So
Okay.
it's a fun place to visit.
Yeah.
Cool. So, speaking of Canada, is there ever anything that you feel really homesick about? Like, is there something that you miss that you just can't get in Tokyo?
I know that should be a normal question, but every time it comes up, it feels just right out of left field.
I feel you though. I'm kind of the same.
Like it's. I think a lot of people who move overseas to live feel this way, but there's just little tiny things that if you could have both in one country, that would be great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like the really small weird one for me. I know a lot of people are probably expecting me to say stuff like Sour Patch Kids and Swedish berries because I do love those.
Yeah.
But there's these President's Choice brand chips.
Oh my god.
And there's a flavor called buffalo wing and blue cheese.
I've never had that before.
Not a lot of people have.
Really? Is this like an Ontario thing maybe?
Do you guys have Zayres?
Zayres?
Like the shopping?
No,
like that,
I've
no?
never heard of that before.
Okay, yeah, they have their own brand. It's just a supermarket, and they have their
Okay.
own brand called President's Choice.
Well, we have President's Choice
Okay.
in Edmonton too.
Is it at Loblaws? Do you guys have Loblaws then?
No.
Where is all your President's Choice stuff then?
We have something called the Superstore.
Okay.
The Great Canadian Superstore. That's what it's called.
I wish we had the great name. That just sounds like a really...
It sounds amazing now that I think
okay.
about it.
So yeah, it's just President's Choice brand chips. I love those.
Okay.
And there's just like tiny little things, like my favorite restaurant that had half price appetizers after 9, and I'd always go there, with my friends, and we get like a $5 plate of nachos.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Chicken wings. Oh, I miss chicken
So
wings.
good.
You shouldn't have got me started on this.
I know. Once you start, like you get on a roll of like, oh, there are things that you just can't get in Tokyo sometimes.
How about yourself? Like, what's your
Ooh.
big like can't get it in Tokyo, Canada thing?
Good question. I've been kind of missing like real poutine. Are you a poutine guy too?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you eat that in Canada?
Can you imagine me going, no, what's poutine?
I mean,
Yeah.
Ontario especially. I think you guys have a lot of poutine because you're
Yeah.
close to Quebec. In Edmonton, it wasn't as, easy. Well, you can get it, but it's not as common to get, I guess.
And like, they have it like chip trucks and like,
Yeah.
You can't
So
get the
good.
cheese curds or the gravy in the right way.
Tokyo,
No.
I know. But there is one place in Tokyo. There's a bar called Man in the Moon, and they've recently started like real poutine because the manager, I think, is from Canada.
Okay.
And he's been like importing cheese curds. So they've been making like pretty authentic poutine. But
Forget the bar. I want to make friends with that manager.
no, I will give you some of the recommendations. I think that's probably the best place to get poutine right now.
I think we'll
Yeah.
be exchanging notes. after.
Definitely.
Last one.
Yes.
Jalapeno poppers.
Oh, wait. Where do you get jalapeno poppers? I have an image of it.
It's usually like a bar food.
You're right.
Yeah.
For some reason, I imagine them at like, am I wrong? Like Harvey's or something? Is that?
I don't think I've ever had them at Harvard. They might have them. I wouldn't
I don't
be surprised
know.
if
Maybe
they
I'm
have
wrong.
them. So.
But you're right. They're kind of a good, like, yeah, bar food. We don't have izakayas in Canada, but like restaurant bar kind of style food. Yeah.
We have really sidebarred on the food here. So.
We did, but you know, food is everything sometimes. That's good. So speaking of, I guess, food, do you ever, I mean, you miss things at home, but do you ever feel like you want to go back to Canada eventually, or do you feel actually totally content living in Japan for the foreseeable future, like long term?
It's an interesting question. I feel like everybody kind of has their views, right? Like I'm a lifer, or like I'm only here for a couple of years.
Yeah.
A lot of people like identify like, oh, I'm Canadian or I'm American. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how to eloquently put this, but I just kind of feel like. So, let me give a bit of a backstory.
Okay.
After moving out to Japan, my family moved. So they don't live in my hometown anymore, and like they live out in a totally different place and all that. So my like childhood home in the area I grew up in, there's family isn't there anymore.
Oh, I know.
So now I feel like, but it had a side effect. I feel like I can just make home anywhere. And for the foreseeable future, with everything that I've got going on in life, I don't see any reason that I'd be leaving Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And if I did, I don't even know where I would go. I don't know if it would be Canada or if I'd move out to like Australia. I've always wanted to go to Australia.
Me too.
Spend some time in California. Like
That
there's
would be
just
cool.
so many places that I would like to live. But for the foreseeable future, it's Japan.
Wow, okay, nice. So even though you've been in Japan for, I don't even know if I mentioned this in the video yet, because we talked a little bit beforehand. We didn't. But you've been in Japan for altogether about 10 years,
Yeah, 10
is what you're
years,
saying.
yeah.
So that's quite a long time. And yet you still feel like, there's still so much to see and do in Tokyo or Japan.
Yeah, there is.
So you haven't gotten tired of it yet.
Well,
or
it's
anything.
less about like, there's always, no matter where you go, going to be stuff to see and do. But as I said, like I'm still on this like path of like, how can I say, just me myself trying to become a brighter, better person.
Right.
So, and I feel that journey still has some time to go here at least.
Very true. Yeah, I think that's. I kind of feel similarly, and I've been in Japan for almost 9 years now. I think. Yeah, so it's also getting up there. But I still don't feel like I've had enough of Japan yet. I feel like maybe I could be here long time.
Yeah.
I still feel like Canada is home in a lot of ways, because that's where my old friends and family still are. So it's something about that is home, and I miss it. But I also don't see myself being anywhere other than here, and there's still so much to do and so much to see.
Yeah.
It's never boring in Japan somehow.
Never is.
I don't know why.
I had traveled for years and never gone to Shikoku. Because I was like, why would you go to Shikoku? It was my original view. I was like, it's just an extra island.
Yeah.
I went out there for the first time like 3 years ago, maybe 4. And now I can't stop going there.
Really?
Now I go there several times a year just because it has everything. It's got the mountains, it's got the ocean, it's got the cities, and all within such a small space.
Oh, nice. So it has... Yeah. So
even after almost like, what was it? Like the better part of a decade, I still found a new place, and I'm just enjoying exploring that now. So
that's amazing. So what has been your favorite place to visit in Japan until now? You've been to various places.
There's one spot that stands out. In Kita-Kyushu, there's a small city called Kokura.
Okay.
And in Kokura, there's one spot that I love in particular. There's a very modern shopping area that looks like it's straight out of Astro Boy. Like all the buildings are like white and blue and yellow, and they're just shaped really modern and neat.
Wow.
And right beside that, there's a traditional Japanese castle.
No way.
Like right beside each other.
That is so
If
bizarre.
you Google Kokura later on,
Okay.
you can see it, and you're just like, wow, those things look so neat beside, and the people there are just so friendly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Kokura, is that a pretty small city?
Yeah, it's not like a major city. It's right around the area of Kita-Kyushu. So you come down from Honshu through Shimonoseki, and then you get into the Kyushu area, and then from there on to Fukuoka and Beppu and all that. But yeah.
Wow, no way. And this has been your favorite place to visit?
Like, I didn't spend much time there.
Okay.
I visited there. I spent a couple weeks in an area called Shimonoseki at the bottom tip of Honshu. There's not a lot to do there. So I branched out and I started traveling Kyushu.
Oh, cool.
And I just kept going to Kokura just because I love that spot and I love the people.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good to know because I'd never even heard of that before. So maybe some viewers as well will be interested to check that out, a new place to see in Japan.
I gotta ask the same because I love like stealing favorite places from people.
Yeah.
Favorite place, where would you say?
My favorite place is, I don't know if this is unoriginal, but there's a place called Naoshima.
Okay.
Do you know it?
I do not.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is a really
Like
cool
I've heard
island.
it, but I can't be like, oh yeah, I know all about it.
It's near the Seto Naikai.
Okay.
So it's near like Okayama-ish area, but it's a small island, very, very small, and it's known as an art island.
Okay.
So for some reason, this whole island has been dedicated to art. And there are just art sculptures all around outside. And it has a lot of Kusama Yayoi pieces. Yeah, with the
That's why I know
coconuts.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
The big yellow pumpkin.
The pumpkin.
With the, yeah, okay.
So they have a beautiful place with the pumpkin, like right on the beach, and it's really stunning. But not just that, like the whole island is just so quaint and beautiful, and the people are so kind and friendly.
Is it easy to get there?
I wouldn't say super easy. Like you need to fly out to, I can't remember which airport it was, but then you also need to take a ferry, and then, so it takes all in all a little while to get there. But it's worth the trip. And they have a beautiful like art sento too. So the whole sento is designed by artists, and there's like sculptures and cute little things in the tiles. It's really nice.
So tempted to just take off the mic.
Yeah, it's like going right now. But I recommend it. Like if you're into this kind of like cool, culture and cool people, it's a really good place. Yeah. Yeah, but so that's that's probably next on the list to go for
I keep like sidebarring the interview. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. But I also wanted to talk about your, kind of your start in Japan. And also, I know that you've been playing shamisen for quite a long time. How long have you been playing shamisen for, by the way?
5-6 years now.
Okay, quite a while.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to start playing?
So I'll try to give the shortest version of this very long story.
Okay.
So came to Japan in 2005, moved here in 2007. After about a year or so here, I'd gone back to Canada. When I got back to Canada, a friend handed me a CD by these two shamisen players called the Yoshida Brothers.
Cool.
And I was like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Shamisen." I was like, "I don't know what that is." And he's like, "Just listen to it." And I listened to it, and I was like, "This is neat." And then the more I listened to it, the more I was like, why did I leave? I might want to consider going back. But then my little brother, who's in Japan right now, took me out to this convention in the States, I think in Maryland, Baltimore.
Okay.
And when we were there, I went because he's my brother, but we rocked in and there was a big poster for the Yoshida Brothers doing a live concert there.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, I can finally hear them live. And it was that moment that I was like, I gotta go back. I gotta go back to Japan. And I came back to Japan and did nothing with shamisen.
Really?
Yeah.
So it took you a while to get started.
I moved out to a small area in West Tokyo, and everyone who lived around me had race cars.
Oh, no kidding.
So like I'd come home from the end of the day and they'd be working on their cars and we'd be chatting and they were like, "Do you want to come out to the circuit with us?" And that
so
escalated into friendship, and that escalated into one of them selling me a car.
Wow.
And I then spent my weekends going out to the circuits and the mountains and doing the drifting and having all that fun. Inevitably destroyed the car.
Are you serious?
Yep.
How did that happen?
That is a long story. I'd done a video on it. I'm not going to derail too much with that long story.
Okay.
Everyone was okay.
That's good.
But it was after that a friend turned to me and was like, "You need a safer hobby, and you need to set a goal that's bigger than yourself." All of your goals you're setting in life are within reach.
Oh.
You need to set a goal that's like outside of your reach. He's like, without thinking, if you could do anything in this world, what would it be? And I was like, apprentice of the Yoshida Brothers.
Oh, are you serious?
And he's like,
So
that's insane. Do it. And so I spent 2 years chasing that goal. Again, a story in itself.
Very interesting.
But at the end of that 2 years, I got an introduction. I finally earned the introduction to the Yoshida Brothers.
No way.
And I think it was like November, December of somewhere around 2011. I was walking down the street one day and I received a phone call from an unknown number. I answered it. It was one of the Yoshida Brothers saying he can't make any promises, but come to his house for coffee and we'll talk.
Are you serious?
And that was the beginning of a journey.
How did that happen? Like, what kind of, connections and what collided to make it so that they would contact you?
I took every route I possibly could. I used to do TV stuff in Japan when I very first got here, like back in 2007. I was doing like commercials and movies and stuff like that. So I tried to approach all those contacts. None of it worked. Then I had a friend who lived in the building of the younger brother. And he's like, I can pass them a note. And I was like, that's kind of creepy. So we didn't go that route.
Okay.
But knowing what I know about Japan, you can't have a relationship without an existing relationship. It's one of those things about Japanese culture. So introductions are very important.
Right.
So long story short, I got an introduction to somebody who could introduce me to the Yoshida Brothers through like introduction. I kind of worked backwards. I was like, well, this person could probably introduce me, but I gotta meet this first. And in order to meet that person, I need to meet someone who knows that, and just kind of trace back. It took about 2 years, and I used pretty much every day off in those 2 years.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And then even when I got the
cool
introduction, they're like, I had to like ask 3 times. The very first time, they're like, sorry. And so I went back and I was like, please ask again. And they asked again, they're like, sorry. And then I asked, I bought like an expensive shamisen because those things aren't cheap. And I was like, I'm gonna invest in this. I'm gonna show I'm serious. And I was like, please ask once more and tell him I will do this until I die. I am not doing this as a hobby. I'm not doing this just for fun. I'm serious about this. Please appeal to him one more time. And that was around August. And they're like, he asked for your number.
Really?
And so there I sat with my shamisen in August, so excited, until November. Or December. It was somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
No kidding. But that's an amazing story. Like, you would almost never imagine that it'd be possible to just, meet someone who you actually happen to listen to the CD of like years back, and then somehow find your way to them and then be, working with them or learning from them. So they actually helped you to learn shamisen.
Oh, I'm their apprentice now. The
Even
older brother,
still, okay.
So the older brother, Ryoichiro, I meet with him once or more a month to do what's called okeiko, which is like formalized. Well, it's not super formal. We meet in his house, we practice some shamisen, learn some phrases, we have some coffee,
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, it just shows like determination can get you far in so many ways.
I figured I was either going to get it or I was going to die trying.
Right.
And those were the only 2 options.
I mean, why not give it your best shot and try and see what happens?
So.
You don't have anything to lose, so that is so cool. I think that's a really great motivator for a lot of people watching, for sure. It just shows that if you want something, just go out and try and get it.
Yeah. Well, I liked the idea that my friend told me set an impossible goal.
Yes. I love that too.
You learn that the impossible is not always impossible. Like.
Very true. I know.
So.
Just the sky is the limit. Sometimes it's even higher than that. You can just keep going.
And my little brother is so excited about it because my little brother is a huge anime fan.
Okay.
And like Yoshida Brothers do the music for like Naruto and like all these other anime.
Cool,
and like
cool.
So he nerds out about it pretty big.
That's really cool. Did he get a chance to meet?
Yeah. So when we were in that convention in Baltimore, I had accidentally stumbled into the first position in line for like a signing.
Yeah.
I was just looking at CDs and they're like, oh, that's the line. I'm like, sorry, yeah, I'll go back. And they're like, no, they're coming out. Just stay here.
Oh, what?
And I met them face to face, and it was at that point that I made the really just crazy. I looked at them and I was like, I will meet you again in Japan in some regard. I don't know how, but I will.
Oh my gosh.
What are you doing, young Norm?
Wow,
Yeah.
but you did it. It's so
So,
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, and super inspiring. Like, I feel inspired by this too. Just to
Happy to
keep
hear
setting the goals higher and higher and go for them. That's great. So this is a really cool kind of start or like path that you took to the shamisen.
Yeah.
And are you planning on doing any like more performances, like live performances? Do you do those quite regularly?
Not as regularly as I would like, but I just, for example, Mitama Matsuri, Tokyo's, I just played at Mitama Matsuri like
So
a little
cool.
while back. A bit before that, I didn't vlog any of it because I wasn't vlogging at the time. I did a collaboration with an orchestra.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and more
That's
often than
really
not, friends invite me to like play for their weddings and stuff like that.
So neat. Wow.
And there's one or two like live houses in like Kagurazaka and Ginza and whatnot who've invited me out to do lives at their live houses.
Oh, that's
So,
really fun. How often do you usually do that? Is that a pretty regular?
I would like to do it more. I'd say probably only a couple times a year, like
Okay.
5-6 times max. A large part of it is it takes a long time to learn one song, so I need more songs if I'm going to do more live performances.
Makes sense,
Yeah.
yeah. And also, you're super busy as it is, so it's hard. I imagine it's hard to balance playing the shamisen, making your videos, because you make those very regularly. So, how do you actually? Do you even have any free time?
I heard a quote a while back that was like, discipline equals freedom or something like that.
Okay.
And so I kind of mix my free time into my day. Like every day is kind of a work day. Like I
Right.
do something each day.
Okay.
So it's like wake up, exercise, that's kind of my time. Shamisen, that's kind of my time. And then like do some kind of content creation. Usually midday, I've got some kind of corporate shoot. Like I go out and I make videos for other companies or I do
Okay.
photography for people and stuff like that. And then fit in my YouTube time. Evening is generally editing and stuff like that. And then the day starts over. If I can, I try to squeeze in a little more of exercise at the end.
Good for you.
I would like 3 years ago, I was 200 pounds, so about 92 kilograms.
Are you serious?
Yeah, none of it showed in here, but it was,
Really? So,
So-
you really made a big lifestyle change. So
it started with that, and then from there, I was like, well, physically I'm in better shape. Now it's time to get this in order and just be, yeah. So there were layers. So.
good for you. That's a good, like, you clearly are super disciplined now with your schedule, and you've made some good positive changes. Yeah, it's a great thing. And so with your daily life, do you ever take a day off where you just don't do anything related to work? And if so, what do you do in
They
that free
usually
time?
come up on their own.
Okay.
Or it'll usually be squeezed into like a half day. Like I'll be doing a video shoot with like, I had a company that hired me probably 2 weeks ago. And they're like, we need to get this video shoot done. But the guys who hired me, one of the guys in the team is an old friend from a long time ago. We hadn't seen each other. So as soon as we finished the video shoot, I was like, can I have an extra day for the edit? I just hit my elbow. I was like, can I have an extra day for the edit? And they're like, no problem. And so we just went out drinking and enjoyed our time.
Oh, nice.
And like my time here with my brother, he's here for a whole month. So we're mixing in like while we're creating content and like we've done more streaming and whatnot. Like,
good.
yeah, we jumped onto like some new platforms and started trying out some stuff together.
That's exciting.
And yeah, so we've been mixing that in. And then as soon as we're done, it's just our time. Like, take him out to Akihabara, just let him enjoy and relaxing in the water and the mountains and stuff like that.
That is so nice. So
So-
you get all of your stuff done, and then you'll leave some time for a
Yeah.
little me time or
Every
vacation
now and
time.
then, like one day will pop up where I'm just like, I'm not picking up the camera today. I'm not doing anything. But usually that's that's family or friend related. Like there's someone who needs something and they're like, can we talk today? Absolutely we can. Or like, my little brother shows up and he's just like, I just want to have a relaxed day today. Let's do it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's good. So do you ever like watch movies just on your off time, or like are you a Netflix person?
Huge Netflix person.
Yeah.
I just don't get to watch it as much as I want to. I kind of got into the habit because while I was doing the full-time job, I cut out the Netflix and traded it for video edits.
Good plan.
And now I feel guilt. Like even around my house, I've got all these little signs like, are you done? Is the work finished? How's the edit coming? And stuff like that to like stop myself, because otherwise I'll sit down and be like, goodbye. Popcorn and a drink.
It's so hard to like restrain yourself. Sometimes when those series are just so good, you can't stop. So I'm having the same dilemma where I'm feeling like maybe I should, I need to really cut it out a little bit and then just focus on work sometimes. Yeah. It's hard to balance it.
It is.
Yeah.
So I've got like one of those like more addictive personalities. So that's why I try and focus on the things like the exercise and like, creating something and everything. Because otherwise just days will disappear into Netflix.
Oh yeah.
I'll just be that guy on the sofa. So.
You don't really want to go down that path. Yeah. That's good. It's kind of about time for us to wrap up, but I also did want to ask one question because I think people do wonder. You are very good friends with a certain YouTuber in Japan too.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I didn't get to touch on that earlier. You're friends with Charla in Japan.
Yeah.
And she's also another fellow Canadian, which
Yep.
is very cool. Is that related to how you guys got to know each other, or how did you guys actually meet originally?
That goes way back to before either of us had ever even started YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or anything. We didn't even have Facebook when we met.
Really?
I was back in university and I was searching online about visas to go to Japan. At the time, most of my friends around me were Japanese and I saw myself eventually ending up here.
Yeah.
And so I was on a forum looking for visa information. And Charla and I, fellow Canadians, met on this forum looking for and we just started sharing stuff back and forth, and we jumped on like MSN Messenger and started chatting. And then it was years of MSN Messenger and email and stuff like that as we shared our journey of how we're getting to Japan, and like we'd get new information about visas and like, here you go, da-da-da. So, and then I would move here, and then as I get left, she would arrive, and then like as I got back, she would leave, and there was just this back and forth. So it took us like quite a few years to actually like touch base. And by the time we did, she had started YouTube and everything like that.
Oh, cool.
Life was this whole new thing.
And so you met for the first time in Japan? It wasn't in
Canada.
Canada.
Actually, we met face to face for the first time in Japan.
Wow, and that was already several years after you started talking.
Oh yeah, we'd already known each other better. I don't want to overstate it, but I'm guessing better part of a decade at least.
Really?
Yeah.
So you guys go, really way back.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Really cool.
I just happened to find a video of her like online one day. I think she did like a kimono video or something a while back. And there was like an article about it in Japan Times or something. And I was like, Charla! So, yeah.
That is so cool. And then you became very close friends in Tokyo as well. That's awesome.
And she really pushed me. She's like, you need to be... She loved the Shamisen in Tokyo channel that I did. And like the videos I was producing. So she was one of the driving... Basically anybody I knew who owned a camera was like, dude, do it. It's worth it. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Do it.
Nice. And
so,
you feel like it's worth it now?
I definitely feel like it's worth it.
That's good.
Definitely.
Nice. Well, this seems like a good place for us to wrap up. It's been really cool to hear your whole story. It was all fascinating. There's so much going on with your life, and you've a lot of plans for the future. I would love to talk more. Maybe we can do another part 2 of this. I don't know. But for now, do you have any last message for any of your viewers out there? Something that'll inspire them to follow their dreams? Or
There's no like go-to message that's like, right? Should I share this with you or at the camera?
You can look at this camera, I
have like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you can. Or it could be some advice too. Like, do you have any advice for? I do ask this to some of the other YouTubers that I've interviewed, but do you have any advice for people who are trying to make it in Japan or be a YouTuber? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if we're going on the lines of advice, the only thing that I would say, and it's just because it's worked for myself, is if there's something you want, whether it be to move to Japan, whether it be to speak Japanese, whether it be to get in shape, no matter what it is, the one thing that's always proven to work for me is do a little bit of something every day and don't break the chain. Don't miss a day. Don't take a day off from that. If you have something and you really want it, keep it in your mind and do a little bit of something every single day.
Man, that is some good advice. I could use that advice.
That's what drove everything. That's what like got me to speak Japanese. That's what brought me here. That's why I play shamisen now, because it was something every day.
A little bit every day. That's the key. Step by step, and then
keep it in there. Right?
And then you'll get there.
Yeah.
So amazing. Thank you so much, Norm. It's been so nice talking to you.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for joining Tokyo Creative Talk. This has been your host, Shizuka, and our amazing guest, Norm from Tokyo Lens. Have a great week, guys. Bye.